Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Beneath the Surface, an A&G Concrete Pools podcast. As always, I'm your host, Luke Hannon, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Adam Zuccaro, Lieutenant of the St. Lucie County Fire District and President of the St. Lucie County Firefighters Surfers for Autism. How are you doing today, Adam?
Good, awesome. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. We are getting connected now, you and I, the first time here today, but
Yes,
I know
sir.
your ties with A&G have been longer than that through the Surfers with Autism program. Before we get into all that, though, I want to talk about your specific journey. How did you get here to Florida? How did you get involved with the fire department? Was that something you always aspired to, or is that something that you just found at the right time in your life? And then obviously with Surfers with Autism, you've got a long story, so I want to give the floor to yours and however you'd like to take it.
Born in Connecticut, moved to Florida young. I was 12. We all chased my grandparents down here, and I guess my parents chased the weather. Moved to South Florida, Boca Raton. My aunt was already down here. She was a firefighter for Boca. So I used to go see her down at the station and stuff. And I don't know, I was 12, 13 years old. I'd seen that fire service life and got friends with all the firefighters there. Was kind of like a kid that always stopped by the firehouse. And yeah, I knew I wanted to be a fireman.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting when you look back, and hindsight's always 20/20, of course, but I think those things that you find in your teenage years do end up affecting you in such a significant way as you grow up and mature. So was your path then always, you're like, regardless of where I am, regardless of where life takes me, I want to find a way to be involved in my local fire district?
I mean, I was going to be a firefighter from that 12, 13, 14. I knew what I was going to do. I was going to be in the fire service. Middle school, high school, I knew where I was going to end up. I really did. It was, it's a calling in a sense, and you got to be the right person and want to do it. And I just felt like it was a good fit for me. And 29 years later, so glad I did it.
It's amazing.
No regrets in that.
It's amazing. And thank you for your service. And
No, like I said, I love my job.
tell me about the process itself. I'm sure, I mean, you describe it there so simply as you wanted to, and it was a calling for you, and you get there, but I can't imagine the difficulty and the rigor that you probably had to develop the skill set, to go through the training. That's not something everyone's cut out for. Was there ever a moment that you kind of realized in that path there was going to be a new challenge for you or something there, or was it always just, it felt natural to you from beginning to end?
Anything worth getting is a challenge. You got to work for anything that's worth getting. But yeah, it was no questions. I was going to succeed at it. Straight out of high school, I went to EMT school first semester, then went straight into the fire academy. And yeah, no, it was no question. I was going to succeed and do it.
I love the surety of it all. And I think I would have to imagine that kind of sentiment and that confidence, and it has to contribute to your ability to do it as a job day in, day out, where you can't have those moments of doubt, where you go into a situation where it's an emergency and you can act with that surety that you've had your entire life about it.
Yeah, you do have to have confidence in your ability. And, obviously, like anything else, you gain a skill set that makes you, better at the job, obviously constantly progress at the job. And then, that gives you the ability to advance, obviously, getting that skill set. Lead others, mentor others. And it's the fire service is a team, so you got to be able to work in that group and definitely pass on, what you've taught or what you learned over the years.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, fire service is amazing.
So then is that career in fire service how you found Surfers for Autism and the partnership there between fire departments and that community?
No, that's not how I found it. But I was definitely able to bridge that gap and bring the two to each other, and it really became a perfect fit. But how I found SFA is my son was diagnosed. My son's 21 years old. He is on the spectrum, diagnosed young, basically like kind of right after he was diagnosed, down in Deerfield Beach, walked upon Surfers for Autism, and it kind of found me that day, and as a 6-year-old, he started to participate in it, started to volunteer, and then it just, ballooned on to where now today, we have a chapter here in St. Lucie County.
And now, from our conversations beforehand, I know you're a surfer yourself. Was it such a natural fit, or did they kind of have to pitch you on how this could be beneficial for someone of that community?
Yeah, like, again, we talked about it. I'm not a huge surfer. I do surf. But it was really what I saw in surfing and how it could help the autism community and special needs kids all together. So it definitely grew my passion at that time to want to bring the two together. Obviously, the fire service is a perfect platform to have a chapter for Surfers for Autism, just because, St. Lucie County Fire District is over 100 years old. So when I'm gone, the fire district's still going to be here. Hopefully they still have that chapter. There's always a constant, a group of young men and women coming into the fire service. A lot of them happen to be surfers. So it's something that longevity, I feel like the two could pair and stay paired long after I'm here. I feel like the fire service and the Surfers for Autism chapters are a perfect fit. So I would love to promote to other fire, departments, districts, benevolence to go ahead and get yourself a chapter of Surfers for Autism.
Absolutely. Now, what is it when you're out there and you're interacting with these kids, you guys are out there in the ocean, on the beach, what is it that you've seen that makes surfing such a good platform for kind of the immersive therapy that I know that environment offers for that group of people?
Especially at the chapter level, it's it's kind of a controlled group. We've only got about 20 to 40 kids on the beach at a time. We have a great group of volunteers, and the byproduct is the learning how to surf. Really, the main goal out there is the saltwater therapy, the inclusion, the environment. That day, they are the focus. They're the rock star. They're the pro surfer that day. There's so many elements of what we do on the beach that day that provides this therapy for this community. And the byproduct is the surf lesson, which it's awesome in itself.
Now, we had talked as well about the saltwater therapy, the salinity aspect of it. I'm curious, in your mind, is the beach and the oceanic environment, is that something that, because of all those kind of sensory elements, the pressure, the waves, the sound, the sonics, is that something that really feels grounding for a person in the autistic community? Is that something that kind of can appeal to a wide variety of senses depending on where they are on the spectrum? How have you seen kind of that manifest?
So, like, I don't know, just to help explain it a little broader, like, there's beliefs like it's a spectrum disorder. Well, that means I believe we're all on the spectrum somewhere. We all sometimes do something that we feel like it's our spectrum moment. Now, obviously, kids diagnosed and stuff probably have a lot more of those moments. But like we were saying earlier, that beach provides that kind of natural therapy for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, you go to the beach, feel better. Now, expanding to that community, yes, all those sensory and those environmental things do assist so much. We all know, one of the concerns with the autism community is you always fear these kids going to the water, gravitating to the water. That's why one of the places, missing kid, you're looking in lakes, you're looking in pools, because it feels good to them to be in the water. If you question a lot of people with autism, they'll take 3 baths a day, 4 baths a day, because it's that natural pressure of being in the water, a pool, a bath, the ocean. So the days we were at the beach, there's that, science of saltwater therapy between the salinity on the body, the pressure of the water on the body, the audible swishing of the waves. So, that audible sound is soothing. The sun, the natural vitamins from the sun. So altogether, it's really a very therapeutic environment naturally. And then, obviously the success of being on a surfboard for these kids is, provides another therapeutic level, achievement, which obviously does a lot for yourself.
Yeah, and I think to steal a point that I've heard you make in other interviews and other conversations with people, the opportunity for individual success and
Oh,
to
yeah.
not be tied to you have to be a part of a team or a larger organization. If these kids can have that singularity of I was able to achieve, I was able to accomplish this, and that's something that they can take with them as they continue to grow and develop as people, where if they need that moment, if they need that space, they can go out, they can surf, they can have those victories in that atmosphere that is going to be a safe place for them and not requisite of so many other moving pieces that can be tough to manage.
Oh yeah, we definitely pride the fact that the byproduct of learning how to surf, as is not our main focus there, but it's definitely given them a skill that they can use the rest of their life. And it's really amazing. We get some first-time families out on the beach, and parents are scared, wasn't sure if it was going to be the right thing, signing their kid up for surfing, and then it's amazing what you see down there. Just some of them, just the first day, parents crying on the beach, never thinking that they would see their kid doing what they're doing out on the water. And I attribute it to the amazing group of volunteers we have, between firefighters, top-notch surfers that we have out there. Some happen to be firefighters, some just people we've met through the community, people that came out and volunteer. And then even we have volunteers, you don't even have to know how to swim to come volunteer. We get a lot of people that think, oh, we can't come out, we don't know how to surf, I'm not a strong swimmer. Just people on the beach to welcome the kids up, and turn them around and cheer them on and push them back out into the ocean. That a group of volunteers really makes it such a success. And it really, there's not a person that leaves the beach that day that doesn't get something out of it. Some days I feel like as a volunteer, I might have got more out of it than some of the kids that day. But everybody leaves the beach that day getting something out of it, like a positive. It's really, the testimonials I've heard from parents are amazing. And I was able to do it as a parent, as a volunteer, now running the chapter, so I've been able to do it at all the levels, and it's amazing at every level.
Well, it's a community effort, as you alluded to there, and I think it's one of the oft forgotten parts of any philanthropic organization is, yes, there's always a certain amount of donations and financial commitment that make these things feasible, but there are so many individuals who are giving of their time, giving of their schedules to make these things happen, to make space that they can come out and provide these experiences, and it truly is community focused from start to end.
And the beauty of it is truly it's therapy for everybody involved.
Yeah.
The volunteers to the participants to the family members on the beach. It is true therapy for everybody involved. And the beauty of it is you're getting therapy without you even knowing it. So for, our volunteers out there, especially the firefighter volunteers, and even just the non-firefighters, the civilians from the community, you're able to give back there. You're able to gain relationships with these kids. Plus, I consider it a bit of training for us too, because you're almost forced to interact with a community that you might have been have reservations because you're unsure how to act with them or how to respond or what to say. But in this environment, you're kind of forcing that interaction, and you learn a lot while you're doing that interaction. For us, especially the firefighters, I try to tell them it's like training, because you might not interact with the kid on the spectrum a lot until you go to that call, and then you have to deal with it. Well, I'm putting you in this situation on the beach. When you do get to that call, you might be like, oh, I've recognized this before. I've seen this before. Let me try this. Let me, talk with a softer voice. Let me try this angle. Maybe not stand right in front of them. Or, so there's, you learn a lot of techniques as you're out there volunteering that we get to correlate to our job, or people just get to correlate in the community. So it's really, we push autism awareness, but let's face it, we're all aware of it now. But I like to say autism awareness and acceptance, because fine, you're aware of it, but do you accept it?
Yeah.
Do you take the time to accept it? Do you understand? And that's what we really need to do, is make sure that we have the patience and accept it. Because I'll tell you what, we could all learn a lot from all parts of the community.
I'm curious then, obviously we sit here in an A&G studio, we have the surfboards behind you. Mm-hmm. What was your first interaction with A&G, and what were those conversations like when you're introducing this organization, the first surfboard that the company purchased to benefit the organization? What are your recollections of meeting perhaps Travis or a member of the team, and what those conversations were like?
Well, just to give a quick background, like probably 15 years ago, we started autism awareness in the fire district. Before it brought Surfers for Autism to the benevolent, we started the autism awareness in the fire district. So that's where really this whole plate started in the county. And the fire district sent a group of us to a training class. It's going to be a long answer to your question. But,
by all means.
But a group of us went to a training class about recognizing ASDs, and then learning de-escalation techniques and how we could de-escalate the situation, in the fire service. Related to calls we'll go on and stuff. It might be the actual patient that we're dealing with, or it might be the patient's family member. It might be the patient, and they might have a child there on the spectrum, but we also have to take care of this kid now if we're bringing mom to the hospital. So they sent us this training and taught a lot of, we learned a lot of techniques, and then they brought us back, and, we got to train throughout the department. So that was internal training for our employees. The fire district, what else they did is, we do recognition we try to introduce the fire service and the firefighters and our equipment to the special needs kids in the community. So now we're visiting all the ESE schools, ESE classes throughout St. Lucie County, because, we go there and you see the fire truck and there's the lights and the sirens. Well, the kids on the spectrum could be scared of that. So we want to introduce that, hey, we're the good guys. Make them familiar with the truck, make them familiar with us. Once we get in our gear, those kids might be really scared. And then they're probably going to run away from us. So we like to go in a non-emergency situation, let them see us in our gear and break down any barriers. So if we do have that emergency, they're not going to run from us. So that's kind of the second facet that the fire district does in our awareness. And then the third is obviously community awareness. We have Ladder 14, or it's actually now Tower 14, housed at Station 14 in St. Lucie West, and that's our autism wrapped truck. So for autism awareness. In April, we wear our autism awareness shirts, Autism Awareness Month. So the fire district did a lot to start this autism awareness in the county. I was obviously involved with that, with my situation. Then doing a lot of volunteering for Surfers for Autism, and then COVID happened. We had to have chapters because we weren't allowed to get big permits on the beach, 1,500 people. So I approached my benevolent and the union to support a chapter. So funding comes in at that place. Mm. Well, it's pretty costly to start a chapter. You have to buy a trailer, $10,000. You have to buy all the training boards, another $12,000. Then some other things, So there was a little pricey tag right from the get-go that I did get my benevolent to cover and help me out with. But fundraising was going to have to start. So I'm not a social media guy. I'm not a very, out there in the public political guy, campaigning, going for, funding. I just like to boots on the ground, do the work. But now I've found that once you get into this foundations and trying to do good, you need to get money to do it because you can't do it with no money.
This is true.
So definitely not my strong suit, but so we do have the Little Feet auction every year, and it's for a different foundation, a different cause. But they were very gracious to me the first couple of years to auction a separate item for my foundation to get started, my cause. So I wanted to do a little something different than everybody else was doing. So I found me an artist, and I figured what better than paint a surfboard for Surfers for Autism. So we had an artist do a surfboard, our first one. I think it's that firefighter one back there. It was kind of, play on the Endless Summer poster with the silhouette and the colors and the firefighter. And so A&G Pools was very, very gracious to me the first year and purchased that board and gave my foundation and what I'm doing here a great start. So that's how the connection with A&G Pools really started. And then some other boards were made, and I feel like, A&G wanted the whole collection. So
Well, now that we have one, I mean, it's only fair that we have the rest of them too,
it's
isn't
only
it?
fair that you have the rest of them. And obviously that first night I was very taken back by the amount of money I was able to raise for that first board, especially being a very small guy here and just a little thing in the county. $20,000. No, I think the first board was $10,000 the first year. I think the second was $20,000. But that's a big chunk of money for a small thing to get me started. So and I was told that night, listen, any help you need, you reach out to us. They were very they liked what I was trying to do in the county here and help our community in the county. So that was kind of how the whole A&G and Surfers for Autism chapter of St. Lucie County started our relationship.
Well, I can say on behalf of Travis and on behalf of the entire A&G team, first and foremost, thank you for all that you do, not only with the fire district, but with Surfers for Autism. And I think what's so evident in this conversation is that every word you're sharing is straight from the heart. Everything that you say is something that you truly feel, and I think it just comes across. And for all the amazing philanthropic organizations that are out there that are in our local community, to have someone so blatantly wear their heart on their sleeve as you do, I think it's incredible. And with the integration that we have already with the fire district, with Travis's involvement, I think it's only natural then that we branch out to the same sort of things that the fire district themselves are curious and interested in supporting philanthropically. So while I was unfortunately not there to receive that first board, I've had the chance now to work in an office where I get to see them every day. And it's amazing to think about what they represent and to know that, sure, it's an item and it hangs on a wall and it looks beautiful and it's incredibly well done by each of the artists, but knowing that that means there are kids out there who get to experience what you're describing and to get to have that impact, and for you to be able to breathe, I imagine, and not worry so much about the funding and get your boots on the ground, get that interaction that means so much to you. If that's something that we can help continue to support, I think A&G always will.
Oh yeah, and they've been gracious ever since. And what's nice is now, I was able to get my start and get my trailer and get my boards, and and since then been able to raise money to give back. The parent Surfers for Autism Foundation, we've given over $20,000 back to them so they could grow other ways, start different chapters. We've been able to give, in the last 3 years, $15,000 to the St. Lucie County School Board special needs classes. So I adopt 50 special needs classes every year.
Wow.
So each teacher gets $200 because they have to buy a lot of their own supplies and stuff. Dunn's Kids Foundation. We've been able to help support Dunn's Kids Foundation. So now that we're growing, we're able to also help the other foundations and areas, not just SFA in our county, which is really, my ultimate goal is throughout St. Lucie County to help special needs and the ASD community, in every facet. The ultimate goal is eventually have a special needs scholarship is my long-term goal. Hopefully I can get there one day.
Well, tell me more about that. I mean, it's so interesting to me as you explain it here of how quickly your focus becomes external. And I think it's a testament to you as an individual and your foresight and seeing all that. But I think most individuals in your place would try and build up their organization first and foremost, and just make things bigger and bigger. You're immediately turning your attention to the wider special needs population. When you think about something like a scholarship and the impact that could have, was that something that you knew you wanted to do from the very first moment, or as you've seen kind of the breadth and the impact that your efforts can have, that school efforts can have, that that's kind of the next frontier of where you'd like to cover as an organization?
Yeah, I just feel like I know there is some scholarships out there already, special needs scholarships, but I feel like it's like two facet. The scholarship would be able to help an individual or a group of individuals or a family, and I don't know exact parameters how it would be done and what assistance it would be, but I also feel like having that and being able to, show that we'll be able to give a special needs scholarships might start that, a trend. Mm. So other groups will also start giving special needs scholarships because, it is a challenge, and there's different needs in that community, but they still need assistance doing it. So it's hard for them to compete for regular scholarships. So I feel like for that community, and again, I don't know all the exact parameters how it would take place, the vision, but I know that's the goal.
Well, and what you talked about earlier with it no longer being just an effort of awareness, but now the acceptance part of things. And I think that requires kind of a vertical integration throughout something like a school system. And not to say that when you get to the end of high school, that's just where education stops for you. If you're someone who wants to pursue that further, to be able to have the opportunity and to not have to compete with what it feels like an ever-growing population of people applying to colleges and looking for scholarships, and to be able to have something set aside that then they can kind of safely pursue that if that is something that intrigues them. I mean,
and it might just be to supply the tools that assist that person through their education.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it has to be for that one reason, but that community definitely needs some different tools to get through the same education. But that is definitely the vision, one day, but small pieces, you got to get there.
So we've talked about all the different elements that go into this, your journey with it, the development of the organization itself from its genesis. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening now that are curious how they can get involved, whether they have a child on the spectrum, whether they want to be a volunteer. What is that process like? I imagine there's a certain season that's best for this, knowing the weather and how cold it is right now. It's probably not quite surfing weather yet, but what does that look like for people interested?
So our surf season is May through September, and by design, it's that summer. There's the smaller waves, but very kind to the kids. So it's a perfect environment. We're very fortunate to have Pepper Park up there on North Beach, and it's a perfect break. And God sent us these beautiful 1 to 2 foot rollers every Saturday in the summer, and it's the perfect waves for these kids to ride in. If you do want to sign up to volunteer or to participate, it's surfersforautism.org. It's their website. You can sign up for the Martin County chapter. I kind of favor the St. Lucie County chapter,
And why
which
would
is
that
mine.
be?
But they're both great chapters. And then there's the big events that kind of travel around the state. But like I said, if you want to come out to the Pepper Park St. Lucie County Firefighters chapter, you sign up on the Surfers for Autism website. We do it the second and third Saturday of every month. There's 2 surf sessions. And volunteer or participants, or if you want to come out as an organization and sponsor a day up in St. Lucie County, you just get in touch with me through the St. Lucie County Firefighters Benevolent, and you can bring your organization out, your employees, your whatever women's group, and all volunteer that day, and kind of sponsor a day out on the beach. And it's, like I said, I challenge everybody to do it once. You don't need to know how to surf. You don't need to know how to swim. And it is truly the best volunteering. And it's you get out there once and you're addicted to it. It's kind of funny. I say that little story real quick. 2 of my main volunteers, because we have now it's a family of volunteers. It truly is. Obviously, a lot of firefighters. But 2 of my main volunteers, close friends now. One who's my right-hand man, Michael Malloy. He's got a good story past, but he was definitely looking for something to do. And he came out there. He was told by a firefighter friend, knew he was a surfer, to come out and volunteer. And I'm going to tell you what now, I think we're in our 5th season coming up. In the 4 seasons, he's only missed 1 day. And he testimonial that he loves it so much. Another girl, volunteer, Jennifer. First season, I get to Pepper Park super early in the morning. Nobody's in the parking lot. I park at the same spot because I got the truck and the trailer with all the boards. And there's this black Camaro sitting in the one spot in the whole parking lot, but it's where I got to park the trailer. So I get out and I knock on the window, and I'm like, "Ma'am, do you mind moving your car so I can park?" And she looks at me. She's like, "The whole parking lot's open." I said, "Well, I have this trailer. This is what I do." And she kind of reluctantly moved, but she moved her car. So I parked. And I'm starting to unload a little. And so I go back over to her car and I knock on the window. And she's like, "What's this guy doing?" And I said, "Well, what are you doing here today?" She's like, "Well, I walk on the beach early in the morning." And I said, "Well, do you want to come out and volunteer?" She had leggings on, no intent to go in the water. 3 hours later, this girl's in the water fully clothed, pushing in surfboards out there with these kids, and she's another one that's just about volunteers every weekend, everything we do. Down to the point where actually some of the fundraising we do, I do a big chili cook-off every year at Hop Life to support our chapter. We just did our fifth annual chili cook-off. But most of these volunteers from the beach come out and volunteer all day at the chili cook-off. It has really become such a family of volunteers. So come join our volunteer family. Come out, volunteer, get in the water with us, support the cause. But it's really infectious. You get out there once, and you're going to want to be out there every week. It's truly the best volunteering ever. It's not like I'm asking you to give COVID shots. You're at the beach with kids, putting smiles on faces. It is truly the best volunteer ever.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this episode and my conversation with Adam, hearing all the work that he's doing with Surfers for Autism and his unique chapter. It's astounding, and He's already wrote me in now to volunteering, so I hope to see you all out there at some point this summer. It's going to be a great time, I am sure. And if you are someone who is interested in getting involved in a larger capacity, please reach out through their website, contact Adam directly through the St. Lucie County Firefighter Benevolent, whatever means you can, because he's doing fantastic work. If you'd like to see any of our previous backlog, any of the previous episodes, feel free to watch those on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you next time.